Okay, let's get into it. So, my process for personal branding, I break down into 5 different steps. So, the first step is self-discovery. If you're going to work on your personal brand, you need to really have a clear idea of who you are, what drives you. You have to do that foundational work before you can then start putting content out into the world. So, step one is all about self discovery. Now, a lot of this work you're going to be doing in your workbook on your own when you've got some headspace to really dig deep and have some, big thoughts about what drives you. So, the first step really is defining your why. Now, what is your why? It's your internal motivation. It's what is driving you. It's your direction in life. Now, if you devour self-help books as much as me, you'll know that there's an excellent book out there called Find Your Why, which is by a guy called Simon Sinek. Hopefully I've said that right. And it delves into it in a lot more detail, but I'm going to boil it down to just a few questions so that we can incorporate it into what we're learning here. So it does require some deep thinking. However, personally, I think it's actually not that complicated and it's pretty easy to figure out. So the question is this: what drives you? Now, I've got a few questions underneath that, which is going to help you figure it out. And there's 5 of them in total. So, question 1: when are you at your best? Question 2: what are you really passionate about? Now, when you're answering these questions, think about every area of your life. Now, some people might have a slightly different why for their personal why as to what they have for their career and their professional why. Generally, there's always crossover because essentially it's the same internal things that drive us all. But so, question 1: when are you at your best? Question 2: what are you passionate about? Question 3: when do you feel the most energized? What gives you life? Question 4 is: what is the core purpose of your role? Now, that kind of, I think, is more career focused. So, what's the core purpose of your business, or if you're an employee, your current role, your previous roles? And then question 5: why does it all matter? What really matters to you? Now, once you've had a really good brainstorm on that and you've written down a big list, see where there's key themes that emerge across what you've written. So, are there any words that you get a really emotional response to, or anything that really kind of jumps out at you and you think, yes, yes, that's what resonates with me? Now, once you've got all of that brainstorming done, the next step is to craft your why statement. Now, it's usually structured like this: my why is to something, 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 so that something, something, something. So if I let you know what my why is, that's going to be a good example. My why is to help humans grow and challenge themselves to live bigger and bolder lives. Now, really take some time to brainstorm, to think about the things that drive you, think about the important values that you've got in life, and yeah, how it all sort of connects together. Once you've done that and you've figured out what your why statement is, the next step is basically defining the rest of the unique mix that makes up you, that sits on the shelves inside your shop. So for this exercise, personally, I think a mind map works best. So write your name in the middle of a page and then create branches for each of the different areas. So a branch for your career, for your values, for your experiences, your strengths, your weaknesses, life experiences, etc., etc. Then map out all of the things that are related to those in detail. Now, in the workbook, I've got an example and I've obviously got a list of all of the different branches that you really need to work through. So your values, your opinions, your strengths. Map it all out with yourself in the middle and see what things come up for you. Really spend some time getting clear on where you are, what you've been through in life, in your career, your family, how you see the world and what is important to you. So personally, I find a really great tool because it's so hard to see sometimes. I mean, life experiences are quite easy to write down. Your career is quite easy to write down. So you know those things that are tangible that you've been through. But when it comes to like values, strengths, weaknesses, it can be difficult for us to pull those out of ourselves because when we're in it, sometimes you can't see it. So I find a really great tool to do this is to ask people. So phone a friend, ask your family, phone your mum, your dad, speak to a trusted colleague, and really ask them, what do you see in my strengths? What am I talented at? Which areas could I improve on? Now, if you ask that one, you have to be prepared to take constructive criticism just in case it comes your way. It's not a bad thing, it's all good. So, I mean, you could also just text your three closest friends and ask them for three words that describe you best. Or you could write a list of all the words that you would want someone to describe you by. So that's another way to do it as well. Now, yes, it can feel very cringe asking these questions. But when you are your own brand, it can be very difficult to see your own strengths. So asking people can be a very, very useful tool. Now, once you have it all written down, it's one big, beautiful brainstorm. Then ask yourself, does all of this resonate with who I want to be? So, the person that I am now, but also the person I'm projecting, the person that I want to be. Whittle it down to the key points that really ring the most true for you. So, once you've done that, you should have your why and then your unique mix. So the tasks that you need to do within this group are number one, figure out your why, write it down. Number two, brainstorm your unique mix, what makes you you. Number three, ask for feedback from trusted friends, family, colleagues. And then number four, refine it and whittle it down. And from that, we're going to be taking our key messaging.